Thank you for joining me in this video covering the Layer Manager. You will not need your tablet or total station for this video, as I will only be presenting information about how the tool works. The Layer Manager button is in the lower right corner of the screen in all 5 of the principal applications. It functions the same and looks the same in all 5 applications, so for the purposes of this video we will only access it through layout points. By clicking the button, we are presented directly with the Layer Manager console. It is only one page that can be scrolled up and down. At the very top of the screen, we are presented with the project and job information, which shows us those which we are currently working in. The reason for this is that the visibility settings we change only affect the job we are currently working in. The information presented to you should be divided into 4 categories if you have loaded your information correctly. The first is reference models. The second is control files. The third is DXF. And the fourth is jobs. If yours looks different, it is because you've imported your information different than the standard training. Refer to videos 8 through 11 for related information. Your total station will still function if set up differently, but you are subject to losing your stored points if you're not careful. Those are your digital record of the work you've done. Starting at the top, we have reference models. Please note that the file extension for all files in this section is CSV. CSV files were discussed in video 7 for your reference. CSV files only contain points. I've imported multiple floor levels for the purpose of this video. The first line below the title bar is Turn All On/Off. At the far right is an on-off switch. Clicking this button will turn on or off the visibility of all points that have been imported. Below the Turn All On/Off line, we have the individual CSV point files that should be named distinctly according to the floor level they are associated with. If the naming convention does not clearly distinguish what floor the points belong to, please contact your VDC PM and ask them to fix the files. At the far right, you'll notice the on-off switch for each individual file. Within one job, we can toggle on and off the visibility of any information found on this screen. This statement applies to every file format on this screen. To the left of each file name is an arrow pointing down. Clicking this arrow, or the white space to the right of the file name, allows us to toggle on or off individual point groups within each CSV file. If I unselect all, I have the ability to turn them on and off. You may set your visibility settings to any combination necessary for your daily tasks. Please note, if you feel that some information is missing when you are in the Layout Points map view, you can check here in the Layer Manager and ensure that the information you are looking for is not accidentally toggled off. As you can see, you can use this method to turn on multiple floors points for comparison. For example, you could check to ensure that sleeves are in the same place by turning on multiple floors. Below reference models is control files. The same menu configuration and commands apply. Control files are also CSV files. The difference is that these contain the points that appear as triangles on your screen. Below control files is DXF. The same menu configuration and commands apply. DXF files were also discussed in video 7 for your reference. DXF files contain the lines that make up the background image you see, such as the building and control lines. As you can see from the list of files on my screen, you can have the visibility of multiple background files turned on or off at the same time, just like you can with point files. It is important to remember that DXF files take up the most computer memory of all file types used in Icon, and having too many floors loaded at the same time will cause the software to slow down or crash depending on file sizes and number of files loaded. Typically, I only load my control files, the floor I'm currently working on, and one floor below me. This allows me to compare the information I'm laying out for quality assurance as well as for dimensional purposes using the checks application. I only ever load my control files one time, and it stays in the tablet for the life of the project. When I have more floors in the building, I never delete the job associated with that floor. I only remove the DXF. Again, jobs contain the points you've stored throughout your layout and are your digital record of work completed. DXF files are only images and can be loaded or unloaded as necessary without affecting the integrity of the project. When necessary, delete DXF files, not jobs. Below DXF is jobs. The same menu configuration and commands apply. The difference here is that when toggling on or off the visibility of jobs, what you are toggling on or off is the points that you have stored throughout your layout work. These are the colored points that appear when you click Store after locating the point you're looking for. Also, if you create any points using the sketching application, the visibility of those points is controlled here as well. This is the reason we never delete jobs. If you simply don't want to see those colored points, the ones that are green, blue, red, or yellow, just toggle off their visibility. You can either toggle off the entire job, or you can click the arrow to the left of the job name and toggle off individual groups of points. Lastly, every DXF file inherently contains its own points that no one has created. The Icon software recognizes different geometrical information related to the background lines and automatically knows where points need to be placed for those lines to exist. Typically, those points will not be needed for layout purposes, but they are very useful for sketching. This will be covered in detail in the sketching video. At this time, I will change around the configuration so you can see what I've been describing. I'm currently in the level 2 job. If I wanted to set up my total station and I only wanted to see the control points, I could turn off the visibility of the layout points. Now my screen has been cleaned up and I can only see the triangle points. These are the colored points I was referring to that have been stored. They belong to the job. If I scroll down to the level 2 job, drop the list, I can turn off no codes. No codes is referring to a point that has been stored without being assigned a specific code or description. Now those points have disappeared. I'm still in the level 2 job, but let's say for some reason I want to see some level 1 points. Now I can see from level 2 the first floor's points. Let's say that I stored a point on level 3 that I want to lay out on level 2. I can come down to the jobs, toggle on the visibility of the stored points, and now see the point that I stored on level 3. This would be a good example of laying out a sleeve and I want to make sure that it lines up on the next floor. I can continuously lay out the same point. Let's say that I want to turn off my control lines so that I can see better my building background. And even further, I'm going to go to my level 2 DXF background, drop the list. This one doesn't contain any extra layers. Typically they have the layers of the columns and walls and I could control the visibility of those settings. On this particular project, we've turned on and off the lighting routing. So if I turn off the routes, now I only see the building. If I'm laying out one particular set of points, such as the lighting, I can turn on just that routing. And then turn on my lighting points as well. In this manner, I could lay out a specific group of points and the routes that belong to them. As you can see, you can configure your visibility settings through many methods and many combinations. This concludes the video on Layer Manager. I encourage you to practice different configurations of visibility settings to learn its usefulness. Please join me in the following video, which will cover setup and survey fundamentals.